Maybe you'll come back someday, as a better person, I hope. I'd like that.
Perhaps we'll have a little one-on-one.
Adios. I'll be waiting for you, Majin Buu! Goku! Kakarot! Father! Goku! Do it!
So, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again. It's October of 2018. I'm sitting in a cockroach-infested house in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and 2 shotgun shells are being loaded into the loudest intro screen known to man. It's been 8 long years that I've waited to wander the wilds of Rockstar's America at the turn of the century again, skeptical that this new protagonist, Arthur what's-his-name, could hold up against the undisputed King of the West, John Marston. I don't want to leave my room for a week, just like I did when I played the first one. I want to soak up every inch of this beautifully detailed world and its rich, layered inhabitants. All that gets thrown out the window the moment I start playing. Whether it's the pressures of trying not to fail my last stretch of college, or the fact that I can't roam any facet of the internet without the game being spoiled, I steamroll right through it. I only do the main missions, and even then barely take in what's happening, the choices being made, the rich tapestry of characters that make up my so-called family within the Dutch van der Linde gang. I think the visuals are stunning, the gunplay fine by Rockstar's standards, and the story serviceable. I finished the epilogues and put it away, not thinking much of the game. 6 years pass, almost the same amount of time from the release of Red Dead 1 to Red Dead 2. During that time, I live in Brooklyn for a year, a pandemic sweeps the globe, I move home, I stay home, I stop acting full-time, I start a job in the games industry, I get laid off from that job, I make YouTube videos. And all this time, throughout different facets of my life, all these disparate places, I keep hearing how important Red Dead Redemption 2 is, how impactful, and how necessary. And to be honest, I don't get it. I begin playing Red Dead 2 again, this time with the express intent of taking it slow. The 4K 60fps PC version helps. I get to soak in the beautiful environments from Saint Denis to the Grizzlies in a format unavailable in 2018. After the tutorials in the mountains, the camp escapes the snowbound Grizzlies into the foothills of New Hanover and sets up camp, capturing and killing O'Driscolls along the way. The world around them is relentless. Still reeling from whatever happened in Blackwater, the camp is disjointed, scared, and constantly running. It would seem like the camp would be an area of tension and anxiety. But at Horseshoe Overlook, the world of the camp is slow. I eat, I shave, and I talk to the people around me, connecting to each individual and learning about characters that I never gave a second glance to in my first playthrough. I keep calling it the camp and not the gang because the camp never refers to themselves that way. They are a family, a unit, a camp, a group of people caught in the center of a world that is slowly weeding them out in the name of civilization. The only people that call the camp a gang are the people from the outside world, a world that views them as nothing more than thugs and killers. The other gangs even view them this way.
You're out for yourselves.
See, this is why you're an O'Driscoll, O'Driscoll. You're out to survive. We're out to live. Free.
I begin to understand early on that there is no evil force to vanquish, in a way that I didn't see my first time through. Those forces, whether they be the progression of time or the pressures of modernization, those will always triumph. They will stalk you and fight you and bleed you of everything you hold dear. You will not win. There is no moment where Goku obliterates Majin Buu. That sort of sentiment doesn't exist in this world. So, why keep playing if you're doomed in the first place? Because what does matter And what's most interesting is how you survive when the cards are stacked against you. All of a sudden, my values pivot as a player. Not interested in just plowing through quests to get to the main story, I do every side quest available before continuing on with the main quest lines. In the direct opposite way of the way that I played GTA 4, I ride to every marker without GPS, investigate every treasure map, meet every meticulously written character in this immaculately crafted world. And that world grows, not just in size, but in my appreciation for the environments and the people in them blooms, and I feel like I have a stake in this place. This world that I've brought into life by taking my time to invest in it. And I think that's why so many stories involve saving the world. Investment. So many pieces of media, even ones with a deeply human element, involve some sort of thread about saving the world at large. That there is something bigger at stake than the individual moments between characters and their daily struggles. There is always something hanging over them that is pushing them forward, a human prerogative to help the rest of the human race. It makes sense that we're invested. This chunk of rock floating in space is all we have. Of course, we want to save it in a literal sense. Red Dead 2 doesn't have that, and I think playing through it with blinders on the first time, I didn't appreciate how important it is that the game doesn't build to anything as massive as a spirit bomb. I should say that I don't want to pose Dragon Ball Z and Red Dead Redemption 2 as these warring opposites. Dragon Ball Z is one of the greatest save-the-world narratives ever made, Goku using each new phase of his Super Saiyan strength to vanquish otherworldly foe after otherworldly foe. Red Dead is a great example of a piece of media that does the exact opposite, focusing inward on the sometimes mundane lives of these people striving for a better life in a world in which they've objectively broken the rules of. Knowing that these people have done wrong and will do wrong again makes them so much more interesting to spend time with. Even a character like Micah, whom I first playthrough read as the bigoted, wild card, bad guy, in quotations, character that we're supposed to hate. 6 years later, he's not so simple, more of a warning, a cautionary tale to Arthur to reflect who he could have become if he had taken one too many wrong turns. I think about this in the context of the Downs family, who Arthur is sent to intimidate early in the game. At first, Arthur's just doing his job to get money for the camp, filling his place to supply for the people he cares for. But the second time he meets the family, he gives one of my favorite line readings ever.
Well, maybe when your mother's finished mourning your father, I'll keep her in black, on your behalf.
There's so much to unpack here, mainly because of who Arthur has become as I have led him throughout the game. As I play through this time, I make it a point to visit every campfire I see, and anyone who doesn't invite me in to sit, I kill. I want my Arthur to stay in that gray area. In my headcanon, it's because these people will report me and the camp back to the authorities, taking away the only semblance of a world I've built up for myself. But it's also that I'm not Goku, an all-around good guy. I can't escape the past and can only do so much to succumb to the trappings of the life I lead. Arthur talks so much about killing people, it seemed weird if I was completely saint-like in my treatment of random NPCs. But back to the Downs. This intimidation is effective and just great writing, but it's also a front. The Arthur I've made isn't this intense. He's a killer, sure, but I'd like to think of him more akin to the Arthur we see drunk with Lenny than the overly hardened outlaw he's portrayed in this scene. And then again, he's also killing random people if they don't greet him kindly. The Arthur I've created exists as a string of contradictions, each compounding into each other to make someone who is impossible to really understand, and all the more human because of it. He's a professional in his field, but a victim to that profession and the world around it, which he desperately wants to keep a hold of. And then there's Mary. Early in the game, you receive a letter from Arthur's old sweetheart, Mary Linton. Mary strings you along for a mission to save her brother from a cult. It's a fun mission, a classic Rockstar chase scenario, but I become focused on something else. There's another world here. A life Arthur left behind that he wasn't able to fully create because of the societal complications of Mary's family and their high society snobbery. Neither Arthur nor Mary have any romantic attachments to speak of when they meet again, and they only fell apart in the first place because Mary's father disapproved of Arthur and his outlaw ways. There is every opportunity for them to fall in together and let that reality that was left behind so many years ago thrive again. But Arthur can't live in two worlds. He has to choose, and after a mission involving her father and then a whole stage show, this happens.
Run away with me, Arthur. Run away right now and don't look back.
I want to. More than anything, I want to. But I've got some people I need to take care of.
He stays an outlaw in the eyes of the world, pushing his way through a world that will eventually kill him. I've always loved that redemption is a major aspect of both games in this series, and Rockstar does an incredible job of subverting what that redemption ends up being. In the first Red Dead, the redemption comes not in John Marston being able to redeem the sins of his past, but his son redeeming his death. In Red Dead 2, Arthur tries to redeem the sins of his father figure, Dutch, but the D'Angelo song that echoes throughout the ending moments of the main game hammers in the fact that the world has won, and maybe the strive for redemption was futile. It's a depressing read, but I love it for the fact that it upholds the constant that the world will always change around you, and in a changing world, maybe you were more of a ghost than a person all along. Maybe it's because I've changed, grown or evolved in some way in the past 6 years. I hope I have. But I get it now. I see why Red Dead Redemption 2 is as necessary, impactful, and as important as it is. As one of the greatest open worlds in video games, yes, but also as an important touchstone of what a game can do when it doesn't have you saving that world. Saving the world is a gargantuan task, one that does not come easy and can oftentimes feel impossible and impregnable to even begin to unpack. Our lives seem too short to feel like they have any impact at all. But just for a moment, in the millisecond that we exist on this world, what happens when we invest in making the world a better place for those around us? To make the world worth living in, and most of all, a world worth saving.
Named after my mother. My old man is another child that's grown old. If dreams were lightning, thunder were desire, this old house would have burnt down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way